I'm going to make this as quick and simple as I possibly can. So here are 7 things I've learned over the course of the past few months of doing Uber on how to get the biggest tips possible. Now, it's actually really nice about doing Uber, and these things also apply to Lyft actually. So what's nice about doing Uber and Lyft is that your customer service and how well you treat your passengers actually plays a huge role into how much money you can make. Because you rely way more on tips as an Uber driver than a DoorDash driver, if you don't provide good customer service, then your pay can really suffer. But if you do these 7 things that I'm going to tell you in this video, then you should be able to hit $30 an hour consistently, no problem. And using these 7 things, I've actually been able to hit $40 an hour for an entire day multiple times. That's because I consistently see tips that are around $20, $30, sometimes even $50. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're dressing nice. I would suggest business casual, just so you look professional. You don't want to look like you just came from the gym or that you're ready to go to bed because you're wearing your pajamas. So I definitely say no sweats, no hoodies, nothing like that. Wear a nice pair of jeans, or better yet, wear a nice pair of slacks with a nice button-up shirt or a collared shirt. I just think it looks better, and when people get in the car, they don't feel like they're getting a ride from their brother. They actually feel like you're providing them a service and that you're a professional driver. The next thing, which is super important, is you're going to want to make sure you clean out your car before every single shift, and maybe if you're going out a full 8 to 10 hours, then take a little break in between at around the 4-hour mark and clean your car out again. A lot of people get in the car, they have dirt on their shoes or just random other stuff that they can leave behind in the back seat. So make sure you're just cleaning out your car regularly, and also running your car through a car wash or washing your car manually before every single shift. It just looks so much nicer when you pull up in a nice shiny car rather than a car covered in dirt and mud. Again, you're just trying to create a nice aesthetic for yourself. With the nice dress, with the clean car, this is going to work in your favor to get bigger tips. I've actually found the opposite, where I didn't run my car through a car wash. The back seat was still clean, but the outside was just dirty. And during this shift, I did get a lot less tips. So it does make a difference, I promise. So I suggest just getting a membership to a car wash near your house, and then you can get unlimited car washes and always have a pristinely clean car when you pick up your passengers. Now, number 3 is a little bit of an expense, kind of like the last one, but I highly recommend you just buy a couple of car air fresheners. I mean, I think they're like $4 at the gas station. It's really not much. And I promise you'll recoup that $4 in no time, because the better your car smells, the more regular tips you're going to get and the bigger tips you're going to get. And this is actually a big thing that you need to try and avoid, especially if you're doing Uber Eats at the same time. People don't want to get in a car that smells like food or anything else. They just want a nice, fresh car smell. Buy a bunch of air fresheners. Make sure you always change them out at the beginning of every single shift. That's what I do anyways, and I've noticed that the percentage of people that tip me goes way up, and I get a lot bigger tips. Now, before we get into the next couple, if you guys are struggling to get tips and you're having a hard time making a good hourly pay every single hour you're out on the road, then I highly suggest you download the Solo app. It's a great app to pair with Uber and Lyft. You can schedule out your day and actually get some guaranteed pay, just as kind of like a safety net in case a lot of people aren't tipping you. But if you're using these steps, then you should be getting quite a bit of tips. But if you're not, then I highly suggest you download the Solo app, just again for that safety net, and it also tracks your mileage automatically, so you don't even have to worry about it. And you're going to want to track your miles because you're going to need that for your tax write-off. And with the amount of miles you drive as an Uber and Lyft driver, you shouldn't even have to pay taxes. So make sure you have an app that's tracking your mileage. If you want the Solo app, make sure you use the link I have for you down below in the description, because when you use it, you're going to be getting a bonus $10 anyway. Just think of that as like a free $10 tip. But anyway, let's get into the next one. Now, those first 3 were kind of common sense, but these next 4 are going to be a little bit of a charge. But I promise you, I purchased these things and it made a huge difference in the amount of tips I was getting and how big the tips were. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go buy a cooler. You can just get a mini one and just set it in your front seat, in the passenger seat, and fill it up with water and soda. So what I did was I just bought a big pack of those little mini water bottles and also just a pack of those mini cans of Coke and Sprite. And this does wonders. People think you're like the best Uber driver in the whole world. I've had many people say that my service is a class act, that they feel like they're riding around in luxury, even though I just drive a Chevy Cruze and I provide a top-of-the-line service. I mean, these people literally tell me that when they're riding in the back seat. Now, granted, the people who have said that are usually women in like their 60s or 70s, so maybe they're just being nice, but I really think it does make a huge difference. Because think about if you were a passenger and you got offered a water or a soda, especially in the summer, you're going to recognize that that Uber driver is providing a really great service. They didn't have to do that. They spent their own money on providing you that. You're probably going to be more likely to tip that person. So something that kind of goes along with that is I always like to provide gum and mints in the back seat. I just put it in like the little cup holder or just in the little side compartment at the door. And when they get in the car, I just tell them, hey, help yourself to any mints or gum right there in the door. Almost every single time someone either takes a mint or takes a piece of gum. And so I think people really appreciate that. So if they're not much of a drink person, then maybe they decline the drink, but then they have the gum or the mints. And maybe they're not a fan of gum or mints and they want a soda or water, then they can accept that as well. And I think just having a mix of all of that makes it a really good environment for the passenger. And especially on some of these long trips that you do that take like 50 minutes sometimes, or even an hour I've had, you're going to want to have something that makes the person not bored out of their mind. I mean, it's a long drive and it feels a lot longer as a passenger, even if they're on their phone or whatever, but having some mints to suck on or some gum to chew or something to drink along the ride makes it a lot more comfortable for them. So all in all, with the cooler and the ice that you have to buy and the soda and the gum and the mints, I believe it cost me around $37. And I promise you I recoup that money every single day, and it actually gives me a pretty high ROI. I noticed that when I don't provide those things, I only get about a 25 to maybe 40% tip ratio. But when I do provide that, it's 80 to 90%, and it's actually rare that someone doesn't give me a tip. And all of the tips usually are around $5 to $20. Like I said at the beginning, I've even had people tip me $50. And the ice in that cooler actually lasts basically the whole day. The drinks stay cold for the full 8 hours. So just with that little cooler, you can really change the amount of tips you're getting. Now, number 6 is you're going to want to make sure you have good communication. Talk to the person about their day, what they're interested in, or if they have their headphones in or they're just looking at their phone. Don't bother them. Don't mess with them. If they seem like they're in the mood to talk, then make sure you know how to carry on a good conversation. Ask them a lot of questions about themselves, or if they're asking you questions about how you like doing Uber or how much you make or whatever, just be transparent with them. I've had a lot of people ask me this and they actually really enjoy talking about my experience as an Uber driver. So just make sure you know how to have good communication and know whether or not to talk to the person or whether or not to just leave them alone, because that makes a huge difference as well. And then lastly, just take their requests if they give you any. What I like to do is when they first get in the car, I offer them a drink or the gum or the mints. And then I say, hey, if it gets too hot back there, just let me know. I'll crank up the AC for you. Or I say, hey, if it gets too cold back there, let me know. I'll turn the AC down. Or just whatever. If they want a certain type of music for you to play, just switch it up. Don't be a jerk and just force them to listen to whatever you want to, or force them to sweat in the back or anything like that. Just take the requests, be super nice about it, and this will lead to bigger and more tips as well. So there you guys have it. Hopefully you can take these tips and start making more money, start getting those big tips that are out there, because I promise you it will really increase your hourly pay, and you should be able to hit $30 to $40 an hour every single day, every single hour you go out using these 7 tips. If you guys have any other questions, you can leave your comments down below. I will try to answer as many as I possibly can. But thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.